Men of War Assault Squad 2 has a huge number of Army Men Toy Soldier mods to play with. The best one, in my opinion, being the Army Men RTS 2 mod, which just got ported over to Call to Arms Gates of Hell. Titled Army Men Warfront, and already it looks absolutely incredible from these screenshots. So huge shout out to Wes for sending this over to me. We're going to be checking it out, checking out all of the vehicles available, and then doing a huge Army Men battle. Let's get into it. Okay, so at the moment, there are currently no working maps in this mod. However, there's still lots for us to check out, and you can also play this mod in multiplayer games and Conquest. So you can play it with your friends, which is cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and take all of the Army Men and their vehicles and spawn them in on the battlefield for us to look at. Alright guys, it took me 25 minutes to place every single vehicle on this battlefield here. There's a huge number, but they look fantastic. So I'm pretty sure most of these vehicles are just Gates of Hell vehicles with a text mod applied to them, but it works great because these all look very plastic to me. They've got some decals on them and things like that. I think it looks good. The one thing is, I think the wheels as well as the tank tracks could be like a black plastic instead of just regular metal like they are now. I'm not sure if that's doable or not, but I think that would be cool. Either way, the greens obviously are based on the US military here. We've got M4s, we've got tank destroyers, we've got all sorts of different cargo trucks with different expressions written on them and things like that, which is kind of fun. We also have like the Army Men tank, which is cool, and you know, some tanks like the Fury tank over here, except it says full plastic jacket. I like that. That's pretty sweet. We've also got some planes, including some jet fighters, which are not actually in the base game, so they did port in some models, which is cool. So yeah, a nice variety of planes over here, artillery guns. We've got all sorts of half tracks and light vehicles. Looks absolutely fantastic. And let's go ahead and check out the green infantry. So I wanted to do these one by one. So firstly, here is like the normal green infantry trooper, and then here is the elite green infantry trooper. So a little, you know, slight differential there. Then we have leaders. So we do have Sarge in the game. Beautiful. Look at that chin. The chin of a majestic man. We've also got the Jungle Greens, which is a different faction. Looks pretty cool, kind of like Vietnam, I guess. Then we've got GGF, Green Guerrilla Force, maybe? I'm not totally sure. These guys also look kind of Vietnam-y, but less jungly. I like them. I like them. Keep accidentally spawning in the Grenade Launcher Rifleman. The GAF, which I think is the Green Air Force, looks pretty sweet. The helmets are... okay, well, that guy's got an officer cap, so that works. Nice. But it looks like the helmets still need to be greenitized, but the rest looks pretty good. We've got the 5th Artillery Battalion as well, so these guys are just what you use to crew the artillery. The 5th Airborne looks swanky. I like it. 3rd Marine Corps over here. That's the medic. I'll spawn in a non-medic trooper. There's a sapper. Looks good. Looks good. Those look like kind of Gulf War troopers, I guess. 30th Airborne in here as well, going back to World War II. The 11th Green Infantry Division, and then the 102nd Airborne here as well. Very nice. So those are the greens. Let's move on to the oranges over this way. So the oranges have a strange mix of vehicles. They've got some US vehicles like the Stuart and the Chaffee. Then they have like a Hummel as well as a Panzer. So I don't really know what's going on with them. They also have green turrets on top. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but let's go ahead and check out the Orange Empire. So they only have one, actually two variants of troopers here. There is the first one, and then there is the elite variant, which actually looks very, very similar. But this is clearly a more minor nation at this point. Instant Gaming has literally saved me thousands of dollars from their deals. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you like Army Men. You can get the Army Men RTS for $1.07 on Instant Gaming. You can play the Men of War Assault Squad 2 Army Men mod for $3.23, or the absolute classic Toy Soldiers for just $7. Let's not forget, you can also save crazy money on Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Network cards, and Nintendo eShop credits. Trust me, Instant Gaming is extremely safe and my favorite place to buy cheap games. But a much larger nation is going to be the Reds. Look at this! So many vehicles. Obviously, they're based off of the Soviets. We've got heavy tanks in here, and there's a bit of a problem with some of the textures. You could see the checkerboard texture pattern beneath them. I don't know if that's because of the skybox I'm using, or if it's because of the textures or something. I'm not totally sure, but it's not on every single tank. We also have some Cold War MI vehicles over this way. We've got plenty of types of Katusha, comrade. All sorts of vehicles and fuel trucks and artillery out the wazoo, including this massive coastal gun. Holy cow. And some decent looking planes as well over here. These guys, they are kitted out. And in-game, they're actually called the Red Union. Here are their standard troopers right here. Then they have the Vozdushna Desantena Voiska. I don't know what that means, but these are like more elite troopers, or I think they're paratroopers technically. And then we have Spetsnaz troopers. Very nice. The Spetsnaz joining the fray. Beautiful. And then the Katusha artillery regiment here, which looks like they're coming from like the Afghan war or something along those lines. Then we got the other big dogs, the Tans over here, who are based on the Germans. However, they've also got like Huey helicopters, which are US vehicles. They've also got some random French vehicles in here, which I know the Germans did capture a few French vehicles and use them during World War II, so maybe that's what that is actually from. Then over here, we've got all of their different trucks. We've got all of their different artillery units over here. The Thor, massive vehicle, and a bunch of SDKs, plus a bunch of different planes. And so these guys are the Tan Republic in the game. These are their elite troopers, which I think are kind of based off Panzergrenadiers. Here is their standard infantry right there. Then we have the Tan Secret Police. Oh lord, okay, wait. Oh my! The plastic version of the SS, I guess. And then we have Tan Guerrillas, who appear to be just even more camouflaged than the elites. These are the Tan Republic Air Force troopers. We also have Plastro's Elite Guard. That's a pretty cool uniform. We have leaders, Plastro, as well as Tannenberg. These guys look sick, though. What? We also have the Fallschirmjäger right there, so their version of paratroopers. The Stahlgren Battalion over here, that's the Radiowop, and then there's the Rifleman. Then the Dunarreiter Battalion. Okay, and finally, the 12th Sturmführer Artillery Battalion. Very nice. And then the final faction with actual vehicles is the Blues over here, who are based on the Commonwealth. So they've got all the British vehicles in here. We've got trucks, we've got Comets, we've got Crusaders, we've got some Lend-Lease Shermans in here, some Bishops, some Achilles, a nice little variety here. Tulip Crusader right there, which is kind of cool, but that's it for them. Another minor nation, and for the Blue Dukedom, we have their elite soldiers here, so I'm guessing these guys are like SAS, maybe? They have an FN FAL, so you know, much later than World War II. Their standard SMG trooper right there. We have the Indigo Volunteers. This might be based on maybe the Indian Empire? I don't know. And then the Desert Blues, who look like they're, you know, Lawrence of Arabia type beat. That's kind of fun. So these are the more normal nations that all have vehicles involved with them, but then we also have some more minor nations that don't actually get vehicles. Like there's the Viet Tans here, which are basically Viet Cong soldiers, but based in Army Men. They look pretty sweet. We've also got the Pearls, who are purple. They don't get any vehicles, though, that are purple. Then we also have the Grussian Nation, Grussia, who are World War I Germans, but then with an M16A4, that's fire. Okay, so that is everything vehicle and military-wise in the Gates of Hell Army Men mod. Now, how about we go ahead and build a small little battle here between the tans and the greens for fun. Alright, the greens and the tans facing off against each other here. Both have 250 soldiers apiece and 15 vehicles apiece, with each side having 5 heavy tanks, 5 medium tanks, and 5 light tanks. The Stuart, Patton, and M4 over here for the greens, and the tans have a Tiger as well as a 4F1 and a 35T. And again, they have the exact same distribution of infantry. Let's see which nation takes the cake here. We do have 2 representatives out front here trying to discuss the war and put an end to it, and the backup soldiers begin to spray them down with bullets. Already the 35T over here getting destroyed, so hopefully the tans can clap back by taking out some of the light vehicles for the greens on the opposite side of the battlefield. Now again, everything is the exact same for both sides minus the weapons, but they also both have a lot of cover here, and they're both rounding up onto the top of the hillside, so just about as even of a match as I can possibly get for these guys here. I was considering doing an all-nations battle royale style battle for this, but I kind of wanted to save that for its own video, where we could have an elimination of one team per round kind of a thing, so that's going to be a longer process. I might do that later this week, though, if you guys are interested in seeing something along those lines. Either way, we've got mass slaughter going on here for the tans. A bunch of their troopers already dead on the battlefield. Explosions rocking the background here. Not many of the tanks have died thus far, though, for either side, really. We've got some nice rounding fire out there. Now, this is Gates of Hell, so these larger battles, and this isn't even that large of a battle considering all things, but they do get a fair bit laggier when you're in Gates of Hell versus Men of War Assault Squad 2. One of the Pattons over here just took a nasty shot. It might be dead. I honestly can't tell, and the FPS is wicked bad at this point. Both sides just flooding infantry into the middle trenches to try and get as much cover as possible. Anyone sort of on the outskirts is going to get absolutely berated at the end of this thing, because all of the tanks on one side are going to die, and it will leave some survivors on the other side more than likely, and that side will most likely end up winning. That tends to be how these types of 1v1 battles work when you have heavy vehicles in them. We've got more explosions striking way beyond, and the radio tower ends up going down there in the middle. A few Shermans are dead, a few Stuarts are dead, and for the opposite side, a few Panzers are dead on the battlefield as well, but most of the heavy vehicles are still maintaining. We're at like 5 FPS, so I will time-lapse for a little bit here just so we don't have to watch literal lag this whole time. Alright guys, a little bit farther in here and the lag has subsided, mostly. It seems pretty tit for tat at the moment. Red are dead tans, yellow are dead greens. The problem is explosions and vehicles roaming will destroy the bodies per usual, so it's not an exact reading. It seems like the greens might be taking more losses by a little bit, but honestly both sides seem to be fairly even in terms of vehicles left alive. It's impossible to tell right now. More greens are in the trenches than tans are in the trenches, though, so they do have that going for them, and they can maybe head glitch some of the tans on the opposite side. That might be a possibility. I'm just not fully sure, to be honest. These M4s might be dead, though. Are you dead? Yes, but the Patton's still alive back here, as is the Stuart over this way. Both, the Stuart's got 10 kills, the Patton's got 8. That's not too bad. This Stuart's got 5, this Patton's got 16 and 1 vehicle kill. I mean, they're rocking. They're doing some things, you know? It's just, you know, a bit of a grind. So, why don't we go ahead and watch close-up of the green trenches fighting away, because this is pretty sweet looking. Okay, the Greens seem to be surging forward a bit more past the trenches here, behind this like little bunker thing. The Tans are still behind their own trenches here. It might be the best place for them right now, as they've got a ton of Tigers still alive on the battlefield, so that is going to be a problem for the green tanks. The dueling between the tanks continues here. I will say the Tans seem a little bit more consolidated with their infantry around their tanks, whereas the Greens are kind of pushing in the peripherals as well as straight forward. So I don't know who's gonna win this, man. It's a toss-up at this point. I don't know. A bunch of Tans over here making some big mistakes by moving a little too far out and getting clobbered by that incoming machine gun fire from, I think, from that M4 back there, right there. These guys are trying to get into the trench, it seems, but the Greens are also counter-pushing them again over that way, which is a little bit dastardly. Tigers still alive over here. It's pretty much the Tigers versus the Pattons now, and like a M4, I think. Oh, and like a Panzer IV F1, so it's not crazy competition at the moment for either side. They're pretty even, I will say, just different strategies being enacted right now. We do have ourselves normal speed working again. 20 FPS, not bad in the slightest. Oh, Stuart's moving forward. Oh, it looks like when things get injured, they do revert back to the old texture. That's kind of funny. So the turret there, definitely injured. Some of the Greens did fall back, it seems. More shelling on the green lines right there. Let's go ahead and do another nice overhead time lapse over this way, watching the Tans. Okay, so the war continues in a bit of a stalemate. The green infantry still pushing forward over this way. The Tans still sticking by their tanks, and the tanks just shelling away. A few green tanks have tried pushes forward here. Main gun damage on this one died. So the green tanks are not exactly performing super well, but they do still have some Pattons back here still alive, some tracked though. And the Tans have not moved their vehicles forward like in the slightest, choosing definitely a bit more of a background approach for them. It seems like maybe the Greens have a few more troopers than the Tans, but I'm not totally sure. Let's keep watching here. Alright, the grind continues for the plastic armies here. The Tans seem to have exhausted most of their actual infantry. Which number are the Tans? What the heck? Huh? Oh, there we go. They're number 3. So, yeah, they really don't have a lot of infantry. Greens don't have much more, but a little bit more. And the two of them don't really have that many tanks either. Oh! All of a sudden, Tiger tanks on the schmoove. They're going forward. Let's see. Yeah, so I mean, basically the balancing of this mod is actually kind of beautiful, because 99% of both teams are just already vehicles that are in the game. So the balancing doesn't need to be rebalanced. It's as balanced as competitive Call to Arms Gates of Hell can actually be. So that's pretty fantastic, to be completely honest. One of the Tigers just got knocked out. This one still alive. So that's kind of cool, actually. It's a good way to do it, because if you keep everything mostly vanilla and are able to just retexture things, you don't have to rebalance everything for the game. So the Tans and the Greens are basically the US versus the Germans, and that seems to be working out pretty well. I don't even know if I saw that get hit, but apparently it did. Okay, I think the Greens are going to win now. There's only one Tiger left alive for the Tans. Let's go ahead and just finish this thing off, baby. And there we have it, guys. The Greens get the W right there. I think, honestly, the Pattons being a little bit better than the Tigers is what did it for them. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys want me to do some crazy battles with this new mod in the future. I'd be more than happy to. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.